Now is the time to get the winter garden preparation for spring done. By using winter to get these fundamental tasks complete, you're making your growing season much easier for you, and you're also setting yourself up for fantastic crops. In this episode, I'm going to take you through some of those jobs to make your growing season much easier. I'm Tony O'Neill and this is UK Here We Grow. On this channel we deal with all things gardening, poultry keeping and beekeeping. If you want the perfect garden to relax in, or you're just looking to grow your own nutrient dense foods, then start now by clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified each time I release new content just like this. Winter's perfect to start the preparation for spring because you not only can dig over your ground, you can start adding organic matter to it, such as horse or cow manures. Now this is good for lots of reasons, and the first one of those is to help with fertility of the ground. It helps with water retention, and it also stops compactation through the onslaught of winter hitting the ground all the time. And another thing it's really good for is in the summer when we have that baking heat and all the ground starts to crack. This will help because it's holding that water moisture and the retention in the ground itself. And because it's winter, most of the weeds have died off and only really the perennial weeds persist, so it's much easier to take control of the garden at that point. Another important task to do is to clean your polytunnels and greenhouses. Light levels at this time of year are really low, so the more light you can get in, the better your seedlings. Otherwise you can have leggy plants, and that is the biggest factor why people lose a lot of seedlings, because they get leggy and they don't know how to deal with plants that have got leggy. So clean the greenhouse, get as much light in as possible. Now I have a couple of tips on that, and the first one is to use something like this. This is Algon. It's a path, patio and deck cleaner. Now it's totally safe to use in the garden. It doesn't affect any animals. It can even be used around a fish pond, so something like that is great. Now all you have to do is put that into a sprayer, mix it in the directions that is on the can, and spray that all over the tunnel and the greenhouse. What this does, it kills the algae. Now that algae can then be washed off. And I have a second tip for you as well while I'm at it. Things like big polytunnels. With a greenhouse it's quite easy to reach everything, but with a polytunnel, this one is about 9 feet in the middle and it's 14 foot across, so it's quite hard to clean the top of that, and there's no way to support yourself up there. So a tip I have for you is to get a couple of bed sheets tied together. Use old ones, mind. Throw them over, wet them first, throw them over, and then have two of you seesaw that bed sheet back and forth like this, and work across the top of the tunnel, and that'll clean all that algae off. Obviously if you've used a long sprayer, you've got up there and kill that anyway with the Algon. Winter is the perfect time to make structural changes to the garden, whether that's building a polytunnel, a shed, cold frames, or even changing around the pond area that I'm in the middle of here. We talked about in the last episode about the path I was putting in. All of these things are perfect for me doing in the winter. Before we move on, let me know what projects you're undertaking in your garden at winter. Let me know in the comment section below. Now is the perfect time to clear all those paths and social areas from weeds and rebark chipping them. By doing this, you keep the area nice and clean, but also you prevent those weeds going to seed in early spring. So another task for the spring preparation is to create an area where you're able to sow early spring seeds in. And as you can see, I have shelving units here with plastic trays, and inside those trays are wicking mats that help with water retention. In the background there I have an old paraffin heater which helps to keep the temperatures I need in this area for me to germinate those seedlings. Obviously it's very cold at winter. Now I know everyone's not as lucky as me to have the space to have a dedicated seed area in the back of their tunnels. But an alternative is you could create a tented area in the back of your greenhouse, just a small section with some shelves, and then you can wrap that in some bubble wrap. Now you can heat that with something like our 100-hour candle, which is a really popular video, and also our copper coil heater video. I'll put links to both of those down in the descriptions below. And then you can heat just that small area, and because it's insulated by the bubble wrap, it'll retain the heat much easier. How many of you guys grow your seeds in this sort of fashion? Let me know below. I also have 2 other areas at home for sowing seed. I have a grow tent with its own lighting, and I also have a heated propagation bench which I showed you how to build a couple of years ago, and I'll put a link for that video below also. That is fantastic for sowing seed, especially things like chillies. And talking of chillies, now is the time to get them sown. Now, I've grown chillies for years and I love growing them. But over recent years, I've sort of laid off a little bit because I've been concentrating on other projects like growing the giant marrows, the giant cabbage, and that in there. However, this year, I've been set a challenge by another YouTuber to see who can grow the largest chilli. I'm going to let you know what seed I'm using and who that YouTuber is in the next episode. So make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified. That video is going to be live on Thursday, so keep your eyes peeled, guys. So as you can see, most of the work is nearly done and the preparation for the spring garden complete. Now all we need to do is concentrate on pulling out our seed potatoes and setting them to chit or sprout, and sorting our seeds out into monthly sowing so that we don't miss a particular seed that we want to sow. And by moving those on, it allows us to do successional sowings. So you've done all the fundamental jobs ready for spring. What's next? Well, start by clicking the subscribe button, because I'm going to teach you how to grow all the best plants that you ever thought possible. And once you've done that, you can click on the next video here, because I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that you need to ensure a successful growing year. Don't forget to share the love by sharing this video. I'm Tony O'Neill, this is UK Year We Grow, and remember folks, you reap what you sow. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.